curriculum is the best. No, that one is the best. No, this one is the best. No, that one is the best. Too many curriculum options. I'm exhausted. Hi there, God bless you. I'm Karine, and welcome to the Supportive Environment. Thank you for being here. I am the mom of two kiddos, an 8-year-old who is going to 3rd grade, and a preschooler who thinks she's going to college already. Okay, so this video is as my skit, my amazing skit. Just happened to be, it's about curriculum, right? Are you overwhelmed by too many curriculum options? Are you overwhelmed? If you are, I hope that these tips that I'm about to share will help you. I am making this video because I, at some point, was overwhelmed with so many amazing and really good curriculum options. Because the bad ones, well, it's easy to discard, but the truth is that there are a lot of good stuff out there. There are a lot of good curriculums, a lot of good options, a lot of good resources and materials, and that can become overwhelmed. So at one point, I actually was feeling like that. I was feeling overwhelmed. I had, and I've had, and I still have pretty much the same curriculum that I started with since I started homeschooling. I really like my curriculums or my curricula, and I'm happy with it. We have a system because I've been doing it for a few years now. I already understand the scope and sequence, how the curriculum progresses, and that is a great advantage because that means that now I can go smoother in those areas with my curriculum. I can move smoother. My kids also enjoy it, and they can move easier. However, because there is so much good stuff out there, I was feeling, am I doing enough? Can I incorporate more? And this happened because sometimes when you watch curriculums, like we homeschooling moms usually do, sometimes, we're watching what approach we want to keep learning, continuing education, we do research, then we come across amazing materials that other parents, other families are using. And then we start questioning, is what we're using, is it working? Is it enough? And so that's when we start having doubts. And it's actually an important question to ask, what I am using. So before we get into that, the first thing, if you're feeling overwhelmed with curriculum materials, the first thing that I suggest for you to do is to pray. Pray and ask God to equip you, to help you, and to guide you. And I suggest that you make prayer, if it's not already, to make it a daily habit and really constant. When these doubts, when these insecurities come into your mind, into your heart, to think about God, to ask God to give you peace, and if it's a valid concern that you have, to help you and direct you on taking the proper course of action. Okay, so the first thing I say is pray. Okay, now the next thing is, like I said, you question yourself, is what I have, the curriculum that I am using, is it working for my kids? Is it working for me? If the answer is yes, if your curriculum is working, if you love it, if you guys know that it's working, that it's being effective, stick with your curriculum. Don't change it. Now, if you feel that, yes, it is working, but it is not enough, then add to it. And this is easier said than done. But also, it's actually best to add little by little than to come with too much, like sometimes we tend to do, because especially when we're starting to homeschool or when we are starting a new year, and we have so many ideas, and we also sit with our kids and we have conversations with them. What are you interested in learning? And aside from their core subjects, reading, language arts, mathematics, they also want to do other things. And if you're into Charlotte Mason, you also want to do the nature walk, and you also want to do crafts and spend time outdoors, which is all great and part of a well-rounded education. But the first question is, what I'm using right now, is it working? Is it working for me? If the answer is no, then we know, okay, we have to change it. This is not working. But if it is working and we don't want to change it, but maybe it's not a complete, it doesn't cover all the areas that we want it to cover. For example, for language arts, I use multiple components because I don't have an all-in-one language arts program. I do actually, because I have the Sonlight, the all subject package, which comes with language arts, but I not solely use Sonlight language arts. For reading, for example, because my kids are young still, this is what I use. I use All About Reading. And when I actually first started teaching my son, I started with Alphaphonics, which I really, really liked Alphaphonics. But then I found All About Reading, and I started my son on All About Reading level 1. We are finishing All About Reading level 2. And pretty soon we're gonna be doing All About Reading level 3. And I love this curriculum. We love this curriculum. However, All About Reading is exactly about that, just about reading. It does not cover all the components of language arts. Language arts covers a lot of stuff. It covers, it involves grammar, it involves copy work, handwriting, spelling, and so much more. I am sorry about the noise. They were playing with a flute. Okay, so as I was mentioning, for language arts, for example, we have multiple components. I use Sonlight, I use All About Reading, and I'm going to be using more first language lessons for the well-trained mind. I have book 1 and I have book 2 for the grammar portion, because I was focusing more on the copy work from language arts, from Sonlight, and then All About Reading for the explicit reading instruction. And because Sonlight comes with so many amazing books for all of us, for my son to read, and my daughter, when she's able to read, for them to read. So what I do is, so we do the explicit reading instruction from All About Reading, but then we use the living books that come with the Sonlight package, and Isaac reads from there. And then he does copy work from the Sonlight Language Arts, and that involves pretty much most of the grammar components, but I'm gonna get more into the grammar portion with this one over here, with the first language lessons, which I'm going to be introducing it. And he is already familiar with like nouns and things like that. But what I like about the Well-Trained Mind grammar book is that it focuses a lot on narration during those first years, because it helps the child organize thoughts in a coherent way, pretty much to put like the sentence in the mind, to imagine the sentence, and then later on that's going to help him when he's actually creating his own work to put those words into a coherent sentence. But copy work is highly recommended, and I do agree with the copy work, because he's doing so much in the copy work. He's writing words, he's seeing how the words are written, but also he sees that there is a relation in the copy work. He has to leave space between each word. He has to begin with a capital when he's writing a sentence. He has to end with a punctuation mark when he's finishing that sentence. So there is so much that is involved in copy work, and copy work is my favorite. And I have a great feeling that I'm going to love narration so much, but we haven't done so much narration. We're going to be working on that moving forward. We're going to be working on a lot of narration. Now, as I mentioned, at one point I was feeling overwhelmed, and it was not because I was overloaded with curriculum. I was feeling overwhelmed because there are so many options out there, and I wanted to try them all, because I wanted to know, like, wait a minute, does that one have something that maybe this one doesn't have? Is my son, are my kids going to have any gaps? And those are things that you don't need to worry, especially when the kids are little. As long as they are immersed in language, they will be learning, they will be acquiring things, and this is a journey. But I understand that there is also a progression, and we want to have structure, and we want to have that peace of mind that what we are doing actually does work. And so that's why I wanted to get other curriculums and incorporate. And I actually have some additional curriculums that I've purchased that I will be incorporating. But I have peace of mind because I don't have to incorporate them right now. I already have, based on how I know that my kids are learning, what they know and what they will need to learn later on, I have an idea, pretty good idea of when to incorporate that. And when I was feeling that anxiety, like I actually was ready to purchase another curriculum, which is a very good curriculum. I heard a lot of great things about it. It's an all-in-one language arts curriculum that covers everything. It covers grammar, spelling, reading, you name it. It covers all. And I was ready to purchase that curriculum. And I actually decided to first contact.
I want to see something else.
You want to see something else? Okay, let me, excuse me 1 second. Okay. I have kids. I homeschool. That's why I homeschool, because I have kids. Okay, so when I was feeling, at one point I was feeling so much, I'm not gonna say anxiety, but I was feeling like, oh my God, like, my child, like, is he getting enough? Am I doing enough? and I was ready to purchase another curriculum, but then I was feeling anxious because I was thinking like, how am I going to incorporate that other curriculum into what we already have, into what we are already using? Because it's not like I was going to get rid of what we have, because what we have is working very well. But because I heard so many great things about that other curriculum, I wanted to get it. And then I was thinking like, how am I going to use this? Thinking of my daily routine, managing my time. Not only that, but also there is a time frame, and there is a learning curve for me to get familiarized with the scope and sequence of a new curriculum, for me to get acquainted with the new curriculum, and for my kids to get acquainted with the new curriculum. So I started stressing out. I was thinking about buying it. I actually was ready to buy, but then I started stressing out because I was thinking, okay, this is a great curriculum. If I do get, it's great, but then how am I going to incorporate it into our time, into taking care of the house, into doing all the errands, into doing the activities, because we also give importance to spending time outside, and they do a little bit of extracurricular activity, because I believe in that. I grew up in the countryside, outdoors. I spent my childhood as a little girl in the countryside, and I was outdoors running, and I believe in that for my kids as well. I respect your decision, whatever it is, and that is what works for you. But for me, I knew I also had to prioritize going outside and spending time with my kids. And so where was I going to fit bringing another curriculum, however amazing it was? How was I going to fit it into our time? And not only that, but I was not going to use everything from that curriculum, because that curriculum was an all-in-one curriculum, is an all-in-one curriculum in language arts. And I already have amazing components that work well. So I was going to have to start searching the entire curriculum, studying the entire curriculum, to then start picking and choosing here and there what I was going to incorporate. Does that make sense? And so thanks be to God that I actually made the decision. I was ready to buy, even though in my head I'm feeling stressed out because I don't know how I'm going to incorporate the new curriculum. But I called Rainbow Resources, and I'm so glad that I did, and I give thanks to God that I did. And when I called Rainbow Resources, I actually spoke to one of the consultants, and I explained to her my situation. I was having FOMO, fear of missing out. There are other curriculums out there that are great, and I have this fear of missing out on what they are talking about and raving about, and all the great things that they are saying and mentioning, even though what we have is great and amazing and it's working really, really well for us. I was really feeling that I needed to get more, even though I didn't know how I was going to use it. Not how, but like the time slot. How was I going to incorporate it? Not to mention that I was going to have also to take more time to study the curriculum, because I study the curriculum. That's what you do, right? You get familiarized with it. You study the scope and sequence. You get prepared first, so that then you can be prepared to teach your child, right? So I was very overwhelmed. I got even more overwhelmed. And when I spoke to the consultant at Rainbow Resources, I am so grateful to God for her. She gave me such a peace of mind. And I have so much more appreciation for this company, for Rainbow Resources, because you know what? They are a company after all. They are a business, and they are there to sell and to make a profit, right? Because it is a company. However, these people are actually passionate. They are not there just to sell you things. If you don't need something, they're not going to sell it to you. That's what happened with me. I told her what I have. I told her I have All About Reading. I told her that I use copywork. I have Sunlights and all the books for reading. And I told her that I have first language lessons for the well-trained mind. And I also told her, which I haven't actually started using yet, but I also told her that I also have All About Spelling Level 1. And I told her, I told her the name of the curriculum that I wanted to buy because it's an all-in-one. And she said to me, what you have is great. That's what she said to me. She said, what you have is great. She said to me, the curriculum that you are talking about, it is a great curriculum. It's a very good curriculum, but what you have is great. And, and she said, you do not need to buy it. You do not need to buy anything else as of right now. What you have a complete language arts curriculum. You have everything you need. And so then I mentioned to her, but I am right now really, because I have been focusing more on my child to read. Like one of the priorities is to read every day from real books, right? He reads books. He's already reading chapter books, and he's very excited about that. But I said to her, but All About Reading is just about reading. And, how about grammar? And I have Sunlight, but I didn't even register, because I use the Sunlight Language Arts mostly for the copy work. And actually Sunlight Language Arts Level 2, it has about nouns and all that stuff. And so this one, but I was thinking about that other curriculum, and I was telling her but I don't want my child to stay behind in grammar, I want for him to know what is a conjunction and a preposition. And I just came up with, different grammar elements. And she said to me, well, the first thing is that in order for your child to later on to do more complex grammar, your child needs to read. Your child needs to read well. And you are doing that. You are focusing on your child's reading, his reading on a regular basis. You have All About Reading, which is great. So do that. Then, move on to All About Reading Level 2. Incorporate All About Spelling. Start doing the All About Spelling. And use the first language lessons for the well-trained mind 1 and 2 as you have. Your child has everything in those components. And when she said those things to me, it just gave me that reassurance. First of all, she is a consultant. She's been doing this for many, many years, a long time. And I'm sure she's dealt with many calls and questions. And I could tell she understood me completely. And she gave me this peace of mind. And at that point, I just realized I really, it's just about focusing on what I have instead of having this fear of missing out. And let me tell you, I can look at curriculum and talk about curriculums and other curriculums, but I already feel I don't have the fear of missing out anymore. I don't feel like, oh, what we have, like we need more. Like, no, what we have is actually good, and we just have to continue being consistent on it. Because the thing is that if you just keep adding things, you're going to be doing less and less of everything else. You're going to be doing less of what you already have, including you're not going to be able to do everything of what you are getting new, because realistically, you know, the day has 24 hours. You have to rest, you have to do things, you know, you just cannot keep getting all these different materials, and like, how are you going to fit them in? So I have the peace of mind. I was feeling overwhelmed, and I realized, you know, if I'm feeling like this, I'm sure there are other moms who are feeling the same way. So again, the question for you is, what you have, is it working for you? If it is working, even if you enjoy watching curriculum videos and things like that, stick with what you have, keep working on it. Because once you know the scope and sequence of your material, of your curriculum, and if you enjoy it and your kids do, then you're gonna be going smooth. When you get new materials and new curriculum, it's like, you know, learning to walk. You're gonna be going slow because you still don't know the road that this is taking you on to. So you're going very slow because you need to get familiarized with everything. If you are already working with material that you know how it's structured, it's a smooth road. You go much faster. And then later on, little by little, if you want to add components that your child needs, you can start bringing those components slowly, with the understanding that it's not that you're going to be adding more of the same stuff, but you've done your research and you understand that you need to add new things. So, you know, people talk about, oh, this is the best curriculum, that is the best curriculum. This is why I'm not going to tell you what curriculum to buy. I can tell you about the curriculums that we love, just as, you know, all homeschooling parents here talk about the curriculums that they love. And I'm just so happy that we really like what we have. Now, what is it again that we use consistently? What, by the way, we have a lot of resources. We have a lot of, thank God we have a lot of books. We love books. We are a literature-based homeschool. That's why we love Sunlight, because of all the books, Oh my God. Oh, I love all the books. And, you know, Sunlight has the history, Bible, literature, the science, and the language arts, and all of these components have lots of living books. So that's why we love it. But you can get, you know, whatever your philosophy is. If you like books, you can get books from the library. There is one resource that I will definitely recommend. It is not a curriculum, but this book, The Well-Trained Mind. I lost the cover. The Well-Trained Mind. This book, I highly recommend this book. If you don't have this book in your homeschool, I highly recommend that you get it, the physical copy and or the audiobook. because the audiobook, you can, do things while you're listening to it. So how do I use this book? I am grateful that I found this book when I was first starting to homeschool. I found this book, and I use this book every year. I like to re-listen to it, and I also go to the areas that are relevant to our homeschool season. This book talks about the classical education, and it talks about the Trivium, which is divided into 3 parts: the learning process divided into 3 parts, and the grammar stage is the first portion, the first part, and that's where we are right now. So that's also how it's organized here, by the grammar stage, and then it moves on to the other 2 stages. And what I do every year, I just go to the grammar stage, and it's a great refresher, and it has so many great resources. I highly recommend this book. So how have we simplified our homeschool? We have simplified our homeschool by not having FOMO anymore, not having that fear of missing out, because what we have is working. That is the first question. What we have is working. Is it working? Yes, it is working. So I'm continuing with what we have. And what is it that we use consistently? All About Reading, Sonlight. For language arts, we are using Sonlight Language Arts Level 3 for the copy work and for the readers. So from language arts, that's what I have been using consistently, and I'm going to start using first language lessons for the Walter Mind Level 1 and 2. Some parents might say, like, you should have started that a while back. It's okay. My child, from doing copy work on a consistent basis, he's already familiarized with a lot of things that are here. So it's gonna be just like sort of a refresher. That's the amazing thing of copy work. So that's what we have. And then for math, we have Write-Star Mathematics. We love Write-Star Mathematics. So that's what we have, Write-Star Mathematics. Now you might say, okay, how about history and science? I'm glad you asked. So history and science, again, we are a literature-based homeschool. We use Sonlight for history, for Bible, and literature. We use Sonlight, and it's just read aloud. So the history, I'm reading aloud to my kids. That is the history. I'm reading aloud to my kids. We use the map, which the history portion of Sonlight includes geography, because we check, we use the map. We also use timelines to know the time period that different things happened. I recently, last year, started getting books from Beautiful Feet, because literature based, we love books. So I also, now we use books from Beautiful Feet for history, but it's just reading aloud to my kids. And for science, at the moment, same thing. We are reading aloud. We do the experiments here and there. We have to get better and do more of the experiments, but mainly it is through reading aloud. That's how we are doing science, reading aloud all these amazing books. So yes, you see how it's been so simplified, It doesn't have to be that complicated. We make it so complicated sometimes, and then we become overwhelmed, and when we become overwhelmed, we can stop enjoying the process. And homeschooling, if you're not enjoying it, then it's, I hope you're not in that position, because this is a lot of work. Homeschooling is a lot of work, and it is serious work. And because it is serious work, I seriously encourage you to find time to laugh on a daily basis. Find time to laugh, find time to enjoy everything, the little things. I love this, and I'm just so grateful that I have the opportunity to do this with my kids. And I pray for every parent who is doing this. And if you are feeling overwhelmed and going through some situations, first of all, ask yourself, is it the curriculum? If it's not the curriculum, if it is the curriculum, change it. Sometimes we do have to change, and sometimes we have to add, and that is okay. But also, it might not necessarily be the curriculum. It might be that we also are thinking that everything else out there is best than what we already have, and we might not feel satisfied with what we have when that's not the case. That's not necessarily the case. It's people are talking great about those curriculums because they've been doing it for a while, most likely. I want to say, and they already have a rhythm, they have a routine, and that's great, and that's beautiful. And if you just take the time to create that routine and to understand the scope and sequence, then maybe that's all you need. Or if it's not the curriculum, then is it that you need more time to rest? Because homeschool is a lot of work. Homeschool is a lot of work, and sometimes we forget to rest. And it is okay. It is okay to take a day off here and there. It is okay. It is okay. What else? I will also encourage you, if you have questions in regards to your curriculum, reach out to Rainbow Resources, or reach out to the curriculum consultant of the company, of the curriculum company that you're using. And by the way, I am talking about this, and I'm mentioning Rainbow Resources because they were so kind to me when I called them, and they were so professional. I thought they were gonna have like a business mentality, and they were just gonna say, sure, which one is the one that you want to buy? Okay, sure, we're gonna put the order for you. And that's not what I did. The lady spoke to me and she said, you do not need more curriculum. You do not need more curriculum. What you have is great. So in other words, after that, I'm laser focused with what I have. I felt after that a weight lifted off my shoulder. I felt like, oh, what I have is good. And I like it, actually. So now I have like more mental capacity to focus on this even more. I have more energy for the things that we already have. And the things that we need to incorporate later, well, we incorporate later. We add it little by little, or as it's needed, because in my case, All About Reading is only up until level 4. And we actually are going to be studying level 3 soon. So then I will stop using All About Reading, because once we are done with All About Reading level 4, there is no more All About Reading. And I can add more things. You see, there is a time and place for everything. It's about asking God for wisdom and direction, and asking to help us and to guide us. And there is time to add, there is time to remove, there is time to be consistent with what you have and just keep getting better and better with what you have. And I just hope that if you're in that situation, that you find that clarity. All right, I think that's it. Let me see. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you very much. Till next time. God bless you.